Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to RaceFace.Pro. My name is Stephen Koenig, and you are joining us for round 4 of the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship here tonight at the beautiful circuit of Zolder. But before we get into qualifying, we'd like to just take a brief moment to talk about one of our own, a legend, a mentor, an absolute incredible sim racer, a gentleman that was a champion not only in a virtual track, but also on the circuit with motorcycles, that challenged himself in any form of competition possible, looking for the next big win. A legend of a father, a family man, a driver that's legacy has both infamy and absolute grace. We're talking about Ryan Ottens. Past couple of days, we unfortunately lost Ryan Ottens, and he will be sorely missed by the entire community in sim racing, motorsport, and by the world. It's with a heavy heart that we say farewell to Ryan Ottens. But we do not mourn his loss. We celebrate his legacy and celebrate the man behind the visor, Ryan Ottens. Many will be running tribute liveries out today in respect for the 64 and all that he has accomplished. Well, with qualifying underway with under 9 minutes, Brandon Kruger is out on track. You'll notice in the black livery in respect to Ryan Ottens. Second place is Kieran Patterson with the 64 written over the car, carrying Ryan Ottens' number to the sharp end of the field. Kieran Patterson has battled out Ryan Ottens many times in the past, banging doors, clashing, but also some phenomenal races, pushing each other to the next step, and now getting to carry his number across the line. In a chat with PWSR, they send their condolences, and one thing that has been pointed out is how much of an influence Ryan has been to the team to keep going and find that next challenge. So the entire PWSR team, the entire grid as a whole, through RaceFace.Pro's 3 different servers. Some that have been mentored, some that have been rivals, some that have been teammates. All carry the name. Brandon Kruger leads out the pack though, in first place. Kieran Patterson in second. Mordrake Claessens up into third place as he fights his way through. Dean Nokia running in fourth. But taking a look at the championship, it's Brandon Kruger on 145 points with Dean Nokia on 136. Christoph Peterson runs in third on 97 points. Tian Elof in fourth. Ryan Barrington-Smith in fifth, along with Mohamed Musa, Daniel de Villiers, Johan Bluknoot, Mordrake Claessens, and Jason Farmer in the top 10. Further down from that, Conor Bergstrom, Andre Serradio, Henry Platt, along with Michael Donaldson, Alan Patterson in 15th, Ruan Heineke in 16th, 17th, Gerrit Bucas, along with Tianas Buerta, Harry Van Zyl, Kieran Patterson down in 20th. 21st is Paul Fenter, followed by Chris Wall, Chris Heineke, Richard van Heerden, Tyler Humphries, Michael Schultz, Loic Randabel, Nico Safaris, along with Darren Miller, Darius running in 30th. Vietia Buerta runs in 31st, Sean Skitter, Jakob Kutzer, Jude Neville rounding out our pack in the championship. But taking a look, I'm going to see out in the virtual grandstands a bit of a hello from Alan Patterson, who is out there. Unfortunately, not behind the wheel this time. Will be going and supporting the PWSR team from the pit wall. And it's good to see that still being a part of the racing. Daniel de Villiers holding first place. Kruger now into second. Kieran down into third. Mordrake Claessens in fourth. Going and giving it everything he's got with Dean Nokia now in fifth. Dean Nokia last night took the win after Christoph Peterson landed up with a drive-through penalty on the last lap. Literally with 6 corners to go, that was the race done and dusted for the likes of Christoph Peterson. Bit of frustration kicked in, But with Zandvoort, it's all about how you keep it together over the course of the race. This is going to be a mental race of note. 1 hour and 20 minutes of side-by-side racing around a circuit that does not lend itself to a bit of forgiveness. So you're going to have to watch out for those drive-throughs that will come through. And I do see Ryan Otten's deck chair waiting out on the grandstands, going and viewing on with the incredible drivers out here in the Pro, that he too has won this championship in the past, and many are looking to carry that same crown that he has won. And just as a let everyone know, during the course of the Gen 3 supercars that runs currently on a Tuesday bi-weekly, Ryan Ottens was running second in the Gen 3 supercars, and it's been decided amongst all the Gen 3 supercar drivers that they would share the crown and give the championship to the likes of Ryan Ottens, meaning for the first ever inaugural running of the Gen 3 versus BMW M2s for the Gen 3 class and for the supercars, Ryan Ottens will be the champion. So congratulations, Ryan Ottens, on securing your final championship. All right, Tyre Neerloff running in 7th place now. Sean Skitter comes across the line, puts himself into 6th place after a bit of a tough time in the previous race, as he's hoping to try and improve throughout it all. Brandon Kruger dropping a wheel on the dirt, was trying to get up on his time to catch up to De Villiers. 1:27.145 to beat Brandon Kruger with a 1:27.2. Tyre Neerloff trying to close down that gap. As we do take a look, everyone down to 14th position. Henry Platt, Michael Donaldson, Paul Venter, Björn Blicknote, Christoph Peterson, Matthias Musa, Darius, Tyre Neerloff, Sean Skitter, Dean Nokia, Mordred Claessens, Kieran Patterson, Brandon Kruger, and Daniel De Villiers, all running in the 1:27s for their times. From Tyler Humphreys sitting in 15th position, all the way down to Connor Bergström is running in 1:28. The only driver that hasn't put a time on the board, Ruben Heineke, still waiting it out. Looks like trying to get some last minute work done to his car. Big change up at the sharp end of the field though. Tyre Neerloff takes 2nd place with a 1:27.2. 3 minutes and 43 seconds to go. Drivers are going to be really pushing themselves this little bit quicker to try and knock down Daniel De Villiers, that absolute monster of a Nissan GTR. That Godzilla is really showing what it can do when it stretches its legs. Matthias Musa back up into the top 10. And for many people that aren't too sure, if you go and re-watch the first video, the opening intro, I didn't know about it till last night, and I looked at it very, very carefully. You could see Matthias Musa's car off the racing line, actually off circuit, trying to slow the car down into one of the corners. Just a little bit of an Easter egg there find for Ryan Ottens and his, for the likes of Matthias Musa, and as he fights it out in his livery. Bit of black as a homage, but also adding that bit of Project Vapor flair to the car as well. Paul Venter up into 14th. Hopefully he's going to move up into the top 10. Only able to get into 13th with that 0.1 of an up. Björn Blicknote will come across the line and jumps up into 4th place. 1:27.400 with Kieran Pedersen currently running with a 1:27.427. So it is going to be a proper fun. And yes, the cars are still running the LFM BOP. As per the rules, we'll be running the LFM BOP throughout the season. And that, in turn, does help out a few, but other cars tend to battle. I still think many people are missing the mark, with possibly the Maserati being that sleeper car on the circuit. Even the Lexus would be a good one. Brandon Kruger comes across the line, 0.1 faster. He gets himself into 2nd place and securing a bit of a spot in the final 1 minute and 45 seconds. Going to be a tough time as Kieran Patterson 0.1 up on his lap time. Mordred Claessens trying to improve, but as Henry Platt trying to also get a little bit of momentum. 0.1 up through turn 1. A bit slow on the exit, though. Does drop him out of that positive running. We'll have to wait just a fraction longer. Kieran Patterson still putting in a monstrous fight. Hard braking through the chicane. Now, take a little bit too much through that curbing there. You will start picking up those warnings. 3 warnings will be issued out to the drivers before drive-through penalties will be handed out by our stewards on the ground. And if you think the F1 stewards were hard with their track penalties, well, I can tell you the stewards here tonight are really sticklers to the whole lot. They ensure that they measure it out with a ruler by millimeters at this point. Darren Miller, who's usually in the crowd on a Wednesday night, going and putting in a good time. He's up into 16th place for the PWSR team in the Porsche 992 GT3R. He's got likes of Tyler Humphries, 0.3 of a second faster, trying to improve his lap time. And will it be enough to put him into that top 15? I do think so. 128.1 is his previous, and he will come across the line, setting a 127.7. And that jumps him up into 13th position. Mahath Musa going to be battling his way through. 0.2 up on his best as he's trying to really step up the pace. Hard braking into the hairpin, feathering the throttle. You can hear really quite aggravated on the throttle, trying to get the understeer away from the BMW. Still got a positive time though. Hard braking into the last 2 corners, taking as much of it as possible. Opens the steering up, flat on the gas, all the way through and across the line. Will move himself up into that top 5. And he'll have to wait out. Dino here sitting in 7th. Blicknote came across the line. He's in 6th at current. So as many of the drivers come through and trying to take that final spot, Rich van Heerden will be the final driver to really put the hammer down here. 0.2 up on his personal best. Let's see if it's going to be a race of note. Bit of a note coming in for Ryan Otten's. One of the best memories from Aiden was when Aiden and Ryan Otten's battling out in Sarko Championship at Kalamia. Was neck and neck in qualifying and in the race. A big loss, and wholeheartedly agree in that one. Always some great racing. I remember Ryan Otten's going and lapping me 12 times in a 6-lap race. And I asked, why on earth did you manage to do that? He said, you're just too slow. So gave me a few pointers after the fact. As our qualifying comes to a close, drivers will be gearing themselves up for the start of the race. For many people that don't know, in 2006, Ryan Ottens won the regional superbike racing out on the BMW. Done a fantastic job there and became a champion in 2006. He returned for 2012, and he battled it out, coming 4th in 2012 and 2013 in the national superbike in South Africa. So a huge running for him during this time. Also jumped onto motards as well as long circuit racing on motorbikes. Bit of history that not many people got to know. The man behind the visor, we all know from sim racing, who won multiple times here at RaceFace, became consecutive champions, holding the championship 3 seasons in a row. Eventually moving over to iRacing, where he took the fight to the huge big names in the field. Luke Lecchese, along with the likes of Yuri Umpiswat, was thought not to be the big guy and couldn't be putting a fight to him. Well, that all changed. Biggest fight landing up at Okayama, where he was so close to taking the victory. Unfortunately, clipping wheels with Yuri Umpiswat right at the end. But incredible running in the F4s. It's not only a man that can do 2 wheels, tin tops, but also single-seater action as well. He will be sorely missed and will go down as one of our legends here at RaceFace.Pro, if not in sim racing. Taking a look at our field though for tonight, and I know Ryan will be quite happy with this. Looking at the sharp end, it is a lockout for our PWSR drivers. 1 and 2, Kieran Patterson, Daniel de Villiers, will look to stand on the gas and break away, working with each other early on, I would think, to keep away from Brandon Kruger, Tian Elof. They're on the second row. Mahathmas and Jan Bluknout will also have to be well aware of a concertina effect that will start to form on their side and bunch the entire field through, especially on a circuit like this. So, now the question is, who has got enough in the tank, and what are the strategies going to be like? 2 mandatory pit stops, an hour and 20 minutes worth of neck-and-neck racing. And there can only be one winner at the end to maximize the points here at the beautiful track of Zandvoort. Let's go and take a look at our grid, folks, because it is going to be a wild one of note. So, for the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship, we have got the following. Kieran Patterson in first place with Daniel de Villiers running in third. Brandon Kruger holding third place. And second, Kieran Patterson first, Daniel de Villiers in second, Brandon Kruger in third, Tian Elof in fourth, Mahathmas running in fifth along with Johan Bluknout. Dean Nokia in 7th. 8th place is Mordred Claessens along with Sean Skitter. Christoph Peterson in 10th. Darius running in 11th, going and chasing down fellow compatriot from overseas. Michael Donaldson will be in 12th. Paul Fenter in 13th position after a stunning effort in qualifying last night, but looking to avoid the drive-through penalties tonight. Tyler Humphreys lying in 14th with Andre Sorodio in 15th. 16th, Gerrit Bucas along with likes of Henry Platt, Darren Miller, Jason Farmer, Tianus Butter in 20th. 21st, Richard van Heerden with Harry van Zyl, Conor Bergstrom and Ryan Barrington-Smith in 24th. Over the course of the weekend, next weekend is going to be Ryan's birthday, so if I do forget, Ryan, happy birthday for next weekend. Chris Wall on the last row in 25th position all the way out from the UK. We'll deal with Ruben Heineke, who unfortunately did not set a lap time during the course of qualifying and has got a tremendous amount of work to close up to the sharp end of the field. So, drivers lining themselves up, getting to go. You can hear a bit of short shifting going on. This is to ensure that all the drivers can save as much fuel as possible, try and extend their first stint, and it is going to be a proper run. Not to go and wear themselves out. They will be generating enough heat into the brakes, into the tires, by standing on the anchors as you see now, before they slow it down. 70 kilometers an hour, wait it out, and when the green flag drops, race will be on. Kieran Patterson and Daniel de Villiers, 2 teammates of the PWSR, will be on the first row, looking for turn 1. Is it going to work out in their favor though? Lights on, lights on, lights on! And away we go racing for round 4 of the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. And Kieran immediately locking down the middle of the circuit. Tian Elof trying to go around the outside of Daniel de Villiers, switches the inside. Oh, contact between the two. And de Villiers off circuit, going down the order. And we do have one of the Ferraris going off. That looked like it may have been likes of either Ruben Heineke or might have actually been Jason Farmer that went off. Jason Farmer, Michael Donaldson. There was quite a few contacts during the start of the race that landed up with a few drivers unfortunately missing the mark, as we keep an eye on Kieran Patterson trying to break away from Tian. Now has Brandon Kruger all over the back of him, looking around the outside, can't quite get it. Mahathmas now getting back into the fray as well in 4th place. Small gap starting to form with Johan Bluknout, Dean Nokia keeping the likes of Mordred Claessens at bay. Sean Skitter closing up that along with Darius ahead of Christoph. Paul Fenter keeping in tow with his teammates, defending against Thriller Miller himself at the moment. This is going to be a monster run for Darren Miller and a great leap off the line for him. Gerrit Bucas, Henry Platt, Daniel de Villiers all fighting it out as the race continues. Chris Wall a little bit further back. But there is Daniel de Villiers late on the anchors and into the pit lane right behind Henry Platt. And a bit of a late decision from him to dive into the pits. I don't think it was to plan. So he's going to have to wait out. Tian trying to keep up the momentum, doing everything he can. Few drivers into the pits. Christoph Peterson, Henry Platt, Daniel De Villiers, Conor Bergstrom, all into the pits, serving their first pit stop of the race. Lots going to be working on the cars, try and get that last minute repair work done and continue on the race. A little bit further back, Chris Wall feeling the pressure as he fights out with Richard van Heerden, and it does look like Gerry van Zyl joining in for the fight as Gerry van Zyl up on the inside of Ryan. That is Chris Wall, and moving it left to right quickly, just getting a bit unsettled, trying to get a bit of dirt off the tires. Not going to be too keen on that one. Oh, one car on the wall, and that is the Stinger Racing, Gerrit Bucas, who landed up into the wall. So let's quickly try and identify what on earth happened at the start of the race, because it was mental for a lot of drivers. So let's quickly take a look. This is Jason Farmer, who we keep an eye out, the Ferrari 296. Got Richard van Heerden chasing him down. Oh, contact, and it was just everywhere. Insanity, nowhere to go, and unfortunately he was put into the wall. That little clip on the rear when the whole world turned around him. So not ideal circumstances for quite a few drivers, as Mordred Claessen's trying to keep it all together. Has Darius drifting the car around. Henry Platt getting into the wall as well through the hairpin, put a wheel on the outside, and it pushed himself into a rough situation. Mordred Claessen's hanging on the back of Darius, but it does look like Paul Venter, Gerry van Zyl into the pits. So they're serving their first pit stops to try and get it done and dusted. Paul Venter in the 42 taking a bit of an early pit stop on his run, possibly to just get it out the way and refocus on the race. Also to avoid any more close contacts with one another. Thriller Miller going and touching the dirt. So Darren Miller doing everything he can. He's got to be very careful as Tiana Spuerta starts to close down the gap behind him. Mordred Claessen. So, oh, as we do see Darius hooking the curbs on the right-hand side, threw him out into the wall, now waiting for the field to come on by before he's even able to turn that Nissan GTR around. Oh, just spins it again, trying to get some form of traction and ensure he stays back into for the fight. Frustration definitely going to be underneath that helmet. Paul Venter dealing with Daniel De Villiers. Now, all have completed their pit stop. Paul Venter, Gerry van Zyl, Christoph Peterson, Daniel De Villiers, Conor Bergstrom, Henry Platt, Jason Farmer, Michael Donaldson, Tyler Humphries have all completed their pit stops. Now it's about who can make up that time throughout the race before they need to pit again. Daniel De Villiers looks up on the left-hand side, gets the pass done and dusted on Paul Venter. A little bit of a lean on into him, but De Villiers getting that proper anger driving out of the way. Very aggressive on his overtake, but just wanting to minimize the time losses. Darius is into the pits as well, so it is going to be a free position that. But Daniel De Villiers needing to get past Paul Venter now to look at the attack of Christoph Peterson up ahead. A little bit further up the road is Andre Sorodio onto the back of Ryan Barrington-Smith. Getting him under braking a little bit, but Ryan Barrington-Smith now trying to really keep the power down as he chases his way through in this race. And we're not even under 10 minutes yet, and so many drivers are opting to get those first load of pit stops out of the way to stay in for the attack. Kieran Patterson, Tian Elof, and Brandon Kruger still putting pressure on one another. Mahath Musa running in fourth, Johan Blicknote, and Dean Nokia a little bit further back in sixth. Now, we heard that Dean is going to be trying to single stint his tires on the way through. Not going to be an easy race at all, trying to single stint tires throughout a race like this, especially with the temperature of the track, 25 degrees, and with all going on, he's got to be so cautious not to land up going and over driving the car to ensure that those tires make it to the end. Otherwise, it's going to be like driving on glass. Looking at our first place battle, Tian Elof with Kieran Patterson keeping close to one another and really trying to battle their way through. Tian just keeping the pressure on to Kieran, but Kieran not focused too much on the mirrors here, will continue on the drive. What he needs to try and do is keep that consistency. He was 0.010 faster than the likes of Tian Elof. Sorry, at 0.02 faster than Elof. but it's all about what can you do over the course of time, and it does look like Kieran very aggressively attacking the curbs versus the likes of Tian and Brandon Kruger maintaining that pressure onto the back of Tian. We'll see Mahath Musa very close behind, going and waiting, biding his time for the perfect opportunity to try and get the pass done and dusted. Brandon Kruger just not able to get the corners sorted out towards the final sectors. Oh, Musa going and missing his brake marker completely, throws himself off the track, avoiding contact with Brandon Kruger, which is very well done, but that has now fed him into the clutches of Jan Bluknoot. He looks for the inside line, couldn't quite get the pass there. We'll have to wait it out just a fraction longer. Dean O'Keefe trying to make up some time as he's caught behind the number 1 car of Michael Donaldson, who's continuing up the pace. Donaldson will be at blue flags. Now, he doesn't have to give the position away, but he's not allowed to fight it out. Very good to actually lift a little bit to allow the likes of Dean O'Keefe to go on by, not to get caught out in any unnecessary battles. And after his win, his podium last night, getting 3rd place, he's looking to try and just minimize a bit of time lost during the course of this race. He's got the first pit stop done and dusted. Bear it, not the way he wanted it to happen, but he is now needing to utilize a bit of smart thinking to move his way up through the order. He's lying down in 24th. Maybe by hanging on to Dean O'Keefe throughout this race is going to be enough. Kieran Patterson feeling the pressure as Tian dives up on the inside. Couldn't quite get the pass done and dusted. Takes a lot of the curves. So does Brandon Kruger, though. Whoa, big snap oversteer on the power for Tian. And it does look like that Ferrari battling to get some traction out of it. And he goes for the defensive inside line. Oh, contact between himself and Brandon Kruger, leaning on each other. Brandon trying to do a little bit of a cutback, but the Ferrari not yielding. Was very, very close. Well done to both drivers. Tian holds now the inside line. Brandon Kruger around the outside. Oh, slight move back towards the center of the circuit. Brandon Kruger having a bit of side-on contact with Tian. We'll have to wait it out. Wonder if it might be a strategy, just instead of going and attacking, to just wait it out at this point behind Tian, allow those tires to start wearing out, get that snap oversteer, and try to get the pass. Well, just like that, Tian dives off the circuit, missing out his brake marker, and has Mahath Musa get on by, as well as Brandon Kruger. So Tian now having to take a look back to the likes of Bluknoot. So the 33 not having a good time out there and lands up in a world of trouble. Let's go back 30 seconds and take a look of how that all happened. So off to the side on contact, snap oversteer, tires will start to be extremely hot. He's going to have to work on bringing the tire pressures down. Turn 1 is a bit of a late apex that you've got to try and get his way through. A little bit of rear contact, though, from the likes of Brandon Kruger, just giving them that extra 1 and 2 kilometers to throw him a bit deeper into the corner, and that is not going to be working out in his favor. So a couple of moving around brake markers, under braking didn't do him any good, and I think the driver just saying, listen, time to get a bit more speed, as we do see Karabukas unfortunately losing it. Oh man, trying to get some traction. Gently feed the throttle, as he will have the leaders starting to come by at a rate of knots, trying to make their way through. So Karabukas down in 15th, is just trying to get that car restarted after hammering the wall, and will need to try and get that car back into the pits for some major repair work, as we do see Andre Sorodio going to the pits, and that is Chris Wall, who ventures off the circuit, losing out to Ryan Barrington-Smith. Chris Wall getting a little bit caught out under braking. Very easy to do on the circuit, and you've got to just be very, very cautious, and the Lamborghini very unforgiving if you try and just stomp on the anchors to slow the car down. Doesn't really work out, and you can see that snap oversteer starting to kick in. So Sorodio's in the pits, and Karabukas is into the pits. Where will they come out to the likes of Daniel de Villiers? That is going to be the question sitting on their mind. Sorodio completing his pit stop. De Villiers gets the pass on Karabukas as he comes on by. Doing a bit of repair work on the car, will be waiting for a little bit, and Daniel gets a pass on Andre Sorodio. Christoph Peterson, same thing, along with Paul Fenter. Sorodio comes out of pit lane, carrying a lot of momentum through. Will keep an eye out with Kerry van Zyl is, and just exit a little bit of contact between the likes of Kerry Van Sale and Serodio last minute, but just managing to keep themselves in check. Didn't fix a lot of that damage though. Now I think he's hoping that the car isn't too under the weather for the rest of this race. He's got to watch tyre wear though, as front ends will start to walk off a cliff as they go on. Kieran Patterson leads out the pack. Brandon Kruger in second. Mahias Musa, Tian Elof, and we are looking at the battle for 5th and 6th. Dean Nokia along with Johan Blicknote as they look to fight it out. Front engine, rear wheel drive, Mustang GT3 naturally aspirated V8 versus the V6 turbocharged mid-engine rear wheel drive Ferrari 296 GT3. Interesting combo over the two. Mustang able to go really aggressive over the curbs, while Dean's car very nimble to try and move around. Straight line power though, it doesn't win out, but under braking certainly makes a difference. Darius completing all his pit stops will be leaving pit lane. He's down in 23rd position, so in an opportunity here to just try and move his way through. Sorry, he's in 24th position. So Darius exiting the pits as he loses out to Tyler Humphries. We did see the likes of Daniel de Villiers go on by. So he's completed and is the only driver that has completed all his pit stops. Tian Elof a little bit slow on the way through, trying to gain a little bit of time to Dean Nokia that's got Blicknote in front of him for company. And both drivers looking to really step up the pace on the way through. Jason Farmer, 369 car, unfortunately putting wheel on the dirt and getting a quick yellow flag, but was able to rejoin not under too much duress. Dean Nokia not putting a wheel out just as yet. He's going to wait behind Blicknote not to go on the attack, and I think there is a bit of communication coming in from the PWSR camp of where exactly the points of attack is and where to wait it out. Now we do know Dean's strategy this season, unless, and I'm gonna chuck a hat here, unless he changes it. He's opting to stay on a set of tires, which means it minimizes the stop. He's only putting in the required fuel and gets back out. But that means he will drop half a second by the end of the race per lap, and those tires will start to walk off the cliff. It means if you put your nose underneath him off the apex, especially when you get sideways moments like that, it will become a difficult one. But this is a big one. A bit of bait and switch may come into play here. Telling everyone what you're doing, I'm just keeping the tires, and changing it last minute does keep everyone on their toes and ensuring that you can push yourself out a little bit more and that you can catch everyone out on their pit stops thinking, oh, well, Dean's not going to have a good time out here. We're going to keep going. All of a sudden, you're not expecting a driver out on a new set of rubber to take the fight to you. From 13th place down, though, everyone has done their first pit stop. And from 12th all the way up, Ryan Berg-Smith, Rich Van Heerd, Tiana Sports, Darren Miller, Sean Skitter, Mordred Larson, Tian Elof, Dean Nokia, Johan Blicknote, who we currently see on circuit with Dean Nokia fighting it out. Still needing to do pit stops. Mahias Musa, who has set the fastest lap time of the race, still in for the pound seat here, running in third. Brandon Kruger in second place, but only 1.1 seconds off him. And Kieran Patterson, 2.4 seconds off the pack. So Kieran in for a good run. Oh, very, very aggressive over the curbs. You could see the car bouncing on those shocks straight onto the bump stops and going and causing some compression fractures, I would think, on the way down with how high it's leaping into the air. I know the Ferrari is synonymous for the prancing horse, and the Mustang, well, it's a Mustang. They don't like to hang around out in the wild. They are incredible beasts, but that's why Ford goes and says, well, we're going to call it a Mustang in honor of all the wild horses out there, the wild stallions that are roaming free, fast, and are incredibly strong. But bucking in the air, not the ideal situation for these cars, as it starts to bring down the tire pressures at a rate of knot, and also brings your competition in. Take for this, Tian Elof, 6th place. Now, after having a bit of a problem losing out some positions, he is on the climb and going back into attack. Side by side between Andres Herodio and Claire Van Zyl, and beautifully a quick cut back by Herodio. Might have gotten off track there, but I think it was very, very close, flirting with those limits. Claire Van Zyl going and sticking on by, both giving each other enough room in case of understeer, which is incredible to see, but a very, very difficult part of the circuit to do so. Both drivers going and pulling it off and showing exactly some of that pro level skill coming out into the fight as well. So incredible racing right the way through the field for round 4 of RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. But as Kieran Patterson leads out the pack for the PWSR team, Brandon Kruger lies in 2nd place, Mahaith Musa running in 3rd. 4th place, Jan Bluknoot, with Dean Nokia running in 5th. Tian Elof in 6th place, Mordred Claessens in 7th. 8th is Sean Skitter, along with Darren Miller in 9th. 10th, Tiana Spuerta, along with Richard Finierda. Ryan Barrington Smith, Daniel De Villiers down in 13th. Christoph Peterson in 14th. Paul Fenter in 15th. Andres Herodio, Claire Van Zyl, Conor Bergstrom, Henry Platt, Jason Farmer, Michael Donaldson in 21st. 22nd, Claire Bucas repairing his Mustang after the contact with the wall. Tyler Humphreys on his tail, and Darius trying to make up that bit of time. And taking a look to our virtual grandstands, always fantastic to see some legendary drivers out there. Former teammate to Ryan Ottens and also former rival to Ryan Ottens, Jan Bago Krobler, who raced with him on ACC and on iRacing, going and talking about the strategies that are on there, and most particularly Dean Nokier's strategy, where he's been rather vocal about it, of running on a single set of tires, saying that it really is a difficult strategy to pull off, especially on a circuit that is difficult to get a pass, and you are going to go and hurt yourself during the course of this. So Dean's looking to prove that wrong, but it's going to be a very, very easy fight to it. Taking a look, also Werner Skuman has battled out with Ryan Ottens through all the years of sim racing out on ACC and iRacing, going and agreeing with that as well. So let's see how things are going to do and who is going to be battling it out for the top spot in the running order. It's going to be a tough one though, as Bluknoot, Dean Nokia and Tian Elof are now within striking distance of one another. Dean showing his nose though to the likes of Bluknoot, saying, listen, I'm going to come through soon. You best get up and go, because Tian is on his back. And the more that Dean gets thrown offline, the more it impacts those tires. Tian Elof has already vocalized he's going to be changing tires in this race. His tires do drop off a cliff and he doesn't want to go and land up having a bit of a problem. So he's got no fear to burn this bit of rubber, get it done and dusted, then get in for his pit stop, change it out and get going once again. Dean here, a little bit of a defensive move to the middle of the circuit, still showing his nose to Bluknoot, but ensuring that likes of Tian does give a little bit of a lift and gives him a bit of room. But down towards our next chicane, hard on the brakes, and Tian did try for that inside line. Unfortunately, didn't have his nose far enough forward, had to back out of it, and that is allowing Dean that little bit of a moment. So it's going to be a proper fight. Conor Bergstrom now into the pits as well, going to be serving his next pit stop, looking to complete all the pit stops early on. That's a bit of a strange one. So Conor Bergstrom taking a rather unique approach, much like Darius, getting the pit stops done and dusted. And it does look like Dean Nokia going and pulling into the pits. I wonder if there was a little birdie in the ear that had a chat there. Take a look over out of the commentary box. There is Alan Patterson just casually nodding his head while watching Dean Nokia entering pit lane. And I could see Alan on comms to the PWSR team. So a little bit of strategy coming into it, but considering they have been team championships once before in the past, well, a few times in the past, the PWSR looking to fight it out. They've, out of the entire camp, they have had champions in and out of their roster and also team championships under the belt. I do think it's starting to have a bit of it. Alan actually just saying nope, not even on the radio with them. Interesting. Interesting. Well, Alan, you've got a look-alike out there. Interesting. Alan Patterson, one of our drivers here at RaceFace.Pro, and also ACC's fastest commentator, until proven otherwise, is doing it, and also giving a bit of pep talk to his drivers. Gotta say, interesting enough, Alan also going and saying that Dean Nokia has improved in his driving style. He can do quick lap times on one set towards the end, so let's see what he will be able to do. Well, that's gonna see that, as he did do a splash and dash. He was only stopped in the blocks for 6.8 seconds. He's now behind his teammate Daniel de Villiers, ahead of him. He is on the old set of tires, so it doesn't have to work too hard to bring it back up to temperatures, but it does become a little bit of a difficult run for him. Daniel de Villiers, same thing. Only did a splash and dash on his run after a bit of side-on contact that threw him off in the early stages of the race. So let's see what is going to be the option here. 21 seconds down behind. The two drivers can work with one another to pull each other along. Let's see how this is all going to turn out for them. Tian Elof jumping over the curbs like a kangaroo, trying to catch up to Blicknote. Not working out though. Blicknote with that Mustang starting to open up the pace a little bit more as the race continues. 56 minutes left in this race so far. Daniel de Villiers, Dean Nokia, Christoph Peterson, Paul Venter, Andre Sorodio, Kerry van Zyl, who's on his tail, along with Henry Platt, Jason Farmer, Michael Donaldson, Kerry Bucas, going and running. They have done their first stop, along with Tyler Humphreys, as we do get yellow flags for Andre Sorodio, though, as he put a wheel wrong and likes Kerry van Zyl to get on by. Connor Bergstrom and likes of Darius going and ensuring that they have completed all their pit stops during the course of this race early on. Bit of a risky situation there, and I do think possibly because of damage-wise, they went and lost out. Oh my heavens, what on earth happened to Mordred Claessens? Man, oh man, that was a big one for Mordred Claessens. I'm going to go on board and just see what happened with the car. It just pulled left into the wall. In through the second last corner, down the gears. That all looks clean. Powering on. Snap oversteer. 3. Jammed in gear. Almost like a throttle got stuck or disconnection that put him into the wall. He's able to get up and going again. That was rather strange, but thankfully the car's able to get up going. I've got a funny feeling it was a steering disconnect, listening to that throttle and spearing off. He's able to get it up and going, but sufficient damage to the car plus time off means that he has a bit of work onto him. Jason Farmer trying to catch up to Henry Platt, putting a wheel slightly out onto the dirt. Did cause the yellow flag for a momentary second and managing to rejoin. So he's trying to chase down Henry Platt a bit ahead of him, as he did let the 1-2-3 car of Kieran Patterson go on by, not wanting to hold him up too much. Brandon Kruger will be the next one to try and throw his hat into the ring, with Mahath Musa and Johan Blicknote running in fourth. Tian Elof still there for the fight, hanging in as much as possible. Sean Skitter with Darren Miller. Now, Darren's been down the order, but this is a really good effort on his part to jump up into the top 10 with the Porsche 992 GT3R, along with Tianus Puerta chasing him down in the McLaren in the Pandacity machine with the Richard van Heerden. Also earning the nickname he's got is Dr. Block, believe it or not. And drive-through penalties starting to come through, and first to receive it, Brandon Kruger. Man, oh man, frustration behind that helmet will be real. Running in second place for so long, he will have to serve a drive-through penalty before he can get his pit stop done and dusted, and will be falling down out of the order. He's going to be entering the pits 3 times during the course of this race. Blicknote is still dealing with Tian Elof, who tries to get the undercuts on him. Straight lining, possibly going to do it though, as he's making his way through. I think a little bit of movement as Blicknote moves slightly across to just close off the gap and allow Tyre to just tuck in behind him. But beautiful, beautiful moves being done to try and avoid any unnecessary contact with one another. Blicknote still sticking it out with his drive-through penalty, doing everything he can to stick with it with Kieran Patterson. Mahath Musa down in third will know not to go on the attack too hard at the moment due to Brandon Kruger has got that drive-through penalty. The radio call will come in and say, don't worry about attacking too hard, rather just keep it going, but be wary of the fight behind you. 7.3 seconds back. Blicknote and Tian are on top of one another during the course of this race. Mordred Claessen's now into the pits, getting some repair work on the done, and I'm sure going and checking his rig, every nut, bolt, and screw that is attached to it to ensure that the cables are all fine, that the entire rig is all okay before heading back out onto the circuit. The Pandacity team will be frantic with those spanners, making sure it's all okay to let him rejoin the race after that steering disconnect he had a little bit earlier, and unfortunately put a bit of damage onto the car as he falls down the order. Tianilov late on the brakes, trying everything he can, lunging a little bit with that Ferrari 296. He's able to brake really, really hard, really, really late to ensure that maybe some momentum can work out in his favor. But Blicknote just positioning the car enough to ensure that he can keep it going, and wheel off on the dirt on the right-hand side for Tian, getting a little bit too aggressive, and I think the Tyre's starting to feel it, and also Blicknote not looking as stable as he once was, so possibly the Mustang starting to feel the wear and tear during the course of this race as time ticks away. Remember, they have not done their pit stops. These tires are a little bit older now. They're 19 laps down on what they were when they came out of the pits. Oh man, Tian catching a huge snap after bouncing on the sausage curbs that launched the car a bit. He's able to save it and still stick in for the fight with the likes of Blicknote. Going to be a tough time out there between the two of them. As you see, Tiernas Puerta and Richard van Eerd, they are continuing on the drive as likes of Gerrit Bucas keeps on the chase. He's letting him pull along as we do see some side-by-side action through the hairpin as Blicknote just maintains the inside line, forcing Tierlaf on the outside. Brandon Kruger now into the pits. He had 3 laps to serve that drive through. He is serving it now, and it does look like Tian Elof will be doing so as well. Blicknote staying out of the pits will gain a position and lose Tian in the process to try and open up that distance before he gets into the pit lane. So Kieran Patterson leads out the pack with a almighty gap of 6.3 seconds away from Mahath Musa. Blicknote running in third, 7.8 seconds back. Sean Skitter, 9 seconds back from the running there. Darren Miller in fifth, along with Tiernas Puerta. Richard van Eerde, Brandon Kruger now exiting the pits after his drive-through will rejoin onto a very, very busy circuit as Ryan Barrington-Smith will be lining up to try and get that position away and does everything he could to just get that momentum. Wasn't able to, but still sticking in for the fight. Now Brandon Kruger lying in 8th place will need to keep up the momentum. His next lookout is going to be Daniel de Villiers, now up into 10th position. So really getting that climb and working his way back up through the order. Taking a look at some of the gains and losses in the race. Ryan Barrington-Smith is up 15 positions from where he started. He started in 24th. He's up to 9th. Rich van Heerde is up 14 positions, tying it up with Tiernas Puerta, also gaining 14 positions. Tiana starting in 20th position. Richard van Heerde has started in 21st position. So they had that almighty climb. Biggest loss though, had to go down all the way to likes of Darius, down in 24th position. From 11th to 24th, he's down 13 positions. Second to that is Mordred Claessen's down 12 positions. Tian Elof down 10. Daniel de Villiers with a huge drive, only down 8 positions. He started in second. He is gently making that climb back towards the sharp end of the field to stick in for the fight on the way through. But he has got his teammate for company as Dean O'Keefe once again showing his nose and looking to try and get on by. Daniel will have to think what's going to be the game here, and let's see what the lap times are going to be when they come across the line, as we do get an update on their times. Daniel de Villiers with a 129.055, Dean O'Keefe with a 128.545. So Dean was quicker on that last lap. Do we see a pass to allow a little bit of a tow, or will the likes of Daniel de Villiers go into business for himself here and try and keep pushing that climb? Dean O'Keefe is giving him a little bit of room, so possibly Dean opting to utilize the slipstream to pull himself a little bit more up towards the road and try and take less strain on the tires. But it is going to create more heat, it's going to create more dirty air, and he's going to have to compensate during the course of the race. Singer Racing, Kieran Bukes on the pressure with Richard van Heerde ahead of him. Now, third is a lapped car, but utilizing the tow to try and bring him back into the race is definitely going to be the best plan, as drivers looked to push themselves out a little bit more. Gerry van Zyl and Andre Sorodia a little bit further back, 15th and 16th, going and really trying to keep up the momentum. Looking at all the drives though, first pit stops that are done, no real tyre changes done, some repair work done. Michael Donaldson being one of them, did a 36.5, doing some repair work on the car after the collision early on in the race, along with Tyler Humphries. Connor Bergstrom also getting some work done to his car. Darius went in the pits with a bit of work being done on his car. Kieran Patterson still leads out that pack with Mahias Musa in second. Johan Blicknote running in third for our RaceFace.Pro Pro Division of the GT3 Championship, round 4 here at Zolder. But how long is that going to stick out? Because Sean Skitzer, Darren Miller and Tienus Buerta are on the hot charge. Rich van Heerde staying in the mix there in 7th. 8th is Brandon Kruger after his drive-through penalty, now looking to try and claw his way back up through the order, has got Ryan Barrington Smith 4.4 on the back of him. Daniel de Villiers is 14 seconds back from Ryan, but he is pulling Dean O'Keefe along for the ride as well. Both have completed their first pit stops to get themselves done, and Dustin Donaldson trying to get some form of momentum. Keeps putting a wheel on the dirt though. Multiple yellow flags coming up, and tells me that the drive is getting a bit messy out there, having to just try get his mindset back into the attack mode here and concentrate on being a bit more consistent. One of the consistent drivers that is having a whale of a time, you've got to talk about Darren Miller. What a climb up on his part. Darren, who is 29th in the championship, had a 20th in round 1, 26th in round 2, didn't even start for round 3. But come round 4, Zandvoort, this Porsche is on rails at the moment as he keeps ahead of Tienus Buerta from the Pandassi team, who is also on such a great drive for the start of the race. Yes, they haven't pitted, but generally these two drivers, if you want to talk about bad luck and lady luck not being on their side, these two drivers have definitely felt it over the course of multiple seasons. And now it seems like it's all starting to go and fire its way back. So I'm a bit, well, not a bit, I'm very, very impressed on a lot of the drivers. Even Richard van Heerde is a good one to talk about. I mean, a classic driver that usually sits mid-grid, now fighting it out within the top 10. A couple of things coming through. Alan Patterson saying, 10-second replay on Kieran's car. Why does the livery show in the replay but not live stream? I'm not quite sure. I also noticed that Kieran's livery did show at the start of the race, but has faded off. So we're going to go 10 seconds back, and there is the livery. So a bit of an odd one with the likes of ACC. And all I could say is kudos. A custom livery, kudos. But Kieran Patterson going in, running the 64 on the car in celebration of Ryan Ottens, in the loving memory of Ryan Ottens. Darren Miller running in 5th place with Tienus Buerta in 6th, now a second back from him, And Tiernus really trying to dial up the pressure. Rich Fanietta dealing with Brandon Kruger closing up as well as they fight their way through. But to answer the question from Alan Patterson out there, kudos. That's in the immortal words when you're on air as well. Kudos. kudos on the race and on how things are pulled through. Johan Blicknote now into the pits. This is going to help out the likes of Sean Skitter, Darren Miller, and Tiernus Buerta, along with Richard van Heerden, who's got Brandon Kruger on the back of him. Now, Brandon Kruger has done a drive-through in this race. He's now trying to make up that little bit of time after the drive-through to get back into the top 5 situation, but needs to be well aware of Daniel de Villiers lying in 10th, who's completed his first pit stop during the course of the race. So Daniel de Villiers is the bar to go and keep an eye on. But knowing that, Dean Nokia is staying on the back of him. So it means if you see Daniel on your relative, understand Dean Nokia is close by as well. That can nip a position away from you in a heartbeat. Christoph Peterson will be trying to close up the gap as well in that brutal Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. An absolute monster on the circuit and has definitely a great run. Oh, Rich van Heerden going and missing out the corner, and Brandon Kruger gets a pass down on the inside. Done and dusted, the 31, unfortunately running into a difficult situation there. And Brandon Kruger now up into the likes of 6th. So it is definitely a huge run for our drivers to see how this race is going to unfold. In the immortal words of Gareth Burley and his commentating, there's lots of permutations to this race, and what we're going to see is it all starting to unfold. Like Darren Miller talking about it, pulling into the pits, getting his pit stop done and dusted. Brandon Kruger joining him in, and does look like Gerrit Bucas gets into the pits. Henry Platz is into the pits as well to get their pit stops done and dusted, which leaves a couple of drivers still out on circuit that hasn't done their pit stops. Kieran Patterson, Mahath Munzer, Sean Skitter, Tiernus Buerta, Richard van Heerden, and Ryan Barrington-Smith have not gone in for their pit stops as yet. The rest of the field behind them, though, has got at least their first pit stop out and done. Henry Platt completing all his pit stops. Connor Bergstrom's completed all his pit stops, along with Darius down in 24th position. So as they continue on the drive, the question is, for our top 6, how far are they willing to go into this race? I think roughly the 25-minute mark will be absolutely the latest you want to get into the pits. You don't want to push yourself any beyond that. Otherwise, you are asking for a world of hurt, dropping back through the field. So just keep the easy drive, keep the momentum on the way through. Don't strain the cars, don't strain yourself as a driver in this, but at the same time, watch what's happening around you. It's great to have a bit of teamwork coming into play. Now start feeding the drivers that bit of information, as Darren Miller dealing with Brandon Kruger, the PWSR Porsche, holding a great defensive line against Brandon Kruger, who tries to go around the outside, couldn't quite get it to work, and we do see Darren Miller tucking back in on the inside line, ensure he can hold the apex. Now it's just a slight move across to the right, locking down that outside line for the sweep through, jumping over the curbs, and Brandon Kruger launches it over the sausage curbs with zero disregard for the bottom of the car. And very close. A little bit of a touch between the two. Nothing to upset the cars, but definitely sharing a bit of paint out there, as we do have the 113 Sean Skitter stopped and now trying to restart the car. This is third place. That is now losing time. Rich van Heerden will be going and licking his lips, seeing the Honda off to a slow pull off. Will be able to try and make up some time, as we see Kieran Patterson into the pits. Gary Van Sale's gone to the pits. Daniel de Villiers and Tiernus Buerta have gone into the pits. Mordred Claessen's as well. So huge run on it. Tian Elof now running in likes of 9th position from his pit stop. has got Paul Venter a little bit further up the road to deal with. Mahath Musa takes the lead of the race away from Kieran Patterson, who has now gone into the pits. Sean Skitter has to deal with Rich van Heerden, and both... No, that is Richard diving into the pits. So Rich van Heerden dives into the pits to get his pit stop done and dusted. Sean Skitter will continue, despite the spin, is going to go that little bit longer and will struggle a bit out there as Tianus Buerta, and that is Darren Miller into the dirt. The 722 and the 991 landing up in the dirt. Let's quickly take a look at what happened, and I've got a funny feeling it was first Tianus Buerta going into the dirt and Darren Miller avoiding action. So McLaren, oh no, contact from the likes of Darren Miller turning Tianus Buerta around. He does wait a little bit for Tianus Buerta to get back in, retake the position, and go back onto the attack. Definitely both cars not going to be happy campers there, and the drivers themselves having to refocus and put their head back into this race. Drivers have completed all their pit stops thus far. Daniel de Villiers leads out the pack of that, lying in 17th along with Kerry van Zyl, who is in 19th. Tyler Humphries being the car separating the two of them. Mahath Musa now into the pits. Will Sean Skitter be joining him through? 37 minutes to go in this race. We have seen a late pit stop from the drivers. I go back to an earlier championship in RaceFace history where Ryan Ottens, still during the time of his Hybrid Academy days, went and pulled off pit stops right at the last, one of it following into the pits on the last minute to get his pit stop done and dusted back out onto the circuit, and narrowly missing the mark on it, but really driving a really good stint on the tyres. Another one where one of his close calls was actually out on Kota, where he followed the likes of Genesis Esports at the time and was in a major championship fight. So taking an aggressive approach towards a later pit stop did help him secure a podium position and make sure he could stay in for the fight. And this is something we've seen from pro drivers throughout the years that have gone and really pushed the boundaries. We used to have a pit stop window last season, for those that may remember. This time round it has been thrown out, and we are returning to the old ways of you able to get in and get going. So this is going to be a huge run for the drivers that can push that little bit more, because they have to be in pit lane on the final minute, which means for those out there, you can really, soon as you get past the yellow cones and on the button, that means that you're in pit lane and your pit stop will count. Darren Miller, though, as Tianus Buerta gets him lock, stock and barrel pass. Tianus Buerta stuck on the outside, was not able to turn in, and Tianus will have to drop behind Miller, ensuring they can keep going. Brandon Kruger, though, on the back of Jason Farmer, the Omnis Gaming KSR driver, fighting out with the Griffin Sim Racing team of Jason Farmer, going and battling it out between one another through the first chicane, looking all good. Now it's in for the second time, and we do know Brandon Kruger is properly flirting with track limits at the moment. He's got nothing to spare, so he's got to be careful. But Jason Farmer definitely sparing the pain and anguish of Brandon Kruger getting by. He goes and onto the dirt, late braking, unsettled the Ferrari, was able to keep up the momentum, but definitely not able to maintain his position, having to dial it back, clipping the curb on the left-hand side there. I've got a funny feeling tyres are starting to also feel it, where drivers are pushing the mark a little bit too much, and we will start to hear drivers talking about punctures during the course of this race. Two drivers yet to do their first pit stop. Sean Skitter out in first place, and Ryan Barrington-Smith running in second at Curran. Dean Nokia now up into third place, with Christoph Peterson chasing him down. In fourth, fifth is Kieran Patterson. Sixth is Paul Venter, sticking within that top 10. He just wants that top 10 after a disappointing run last night, where not only Miniboss told him to go to give him some love and attention, his own little child going and saying, come on guys, you've got to get going. But at the same time, he also landed up with a drive-through penalty that impacted his race. Daniel de Villiers still leads out those that have completed all their pit stops, and he's up into 16th at the moment, on a steady climb to get his way through the order. Tianus Buerta into the pit lane will try and get his stop done and dusted, as we keep an eye on Kieran Patterson and Christoph Peterson as they are closing up to one another. I do suspect, though, as we will see Tianus Buerta coming out behind these two, will go and try and stick it in for a fight. Henry Platt onto the back of Connor Bergstrom at the moment as they fight on by. Connor Bergstrom in the OG Nitro, chasing down the likes of Tianus Buerta, who's actually in the Pandacity team. And interesting enough, Connor Bergstrom did come from Pandacity, so he's well aware of the information flow that does happen during the course of it. But Henry Platt, who is part of the Omnis Gaming team, will be fighting it out. Henry Platt, part of the OG Nitro, so these two are teammates, but don't seem to be working too much together on it. Henry Platt going to go around the outside. Connor Bergstrom, is he going to lift? Yep, not quite going to make it under braking to the likes of the chicane. Loses out that little bit of drive, and Henry Platt going and taking the position. Very, very neat in terms of Henry Platt making sure he's on the right side for the sweep to ensure that he maintains a bit of drive. Nothing as teammates both not wanting to interfere too much with one another and landing up in a bit of a Hamilton-Rosberg sort of moment with each other's races, going to get that little bit of lift and pull there through. So interesting how these drivers are going to be making their way around the circuit. Christoph Peterson going and finding out of the way for likes of Kieran Patterson. So opting that Kieran Patterson was a bit quicker there and will rather let him tow him along. So he does drop into 5th, but allows Kieran Patterson to tow him through this race. That's going to be a huge, huge run for them. A bit of information coming through for Mordred Claessen's car, and is having some PC issues during the course of this race, and it's actually landing up in a negative situation where there's frame drops. Now, for those that are not familiar with frame drops, think of watching a buffering video on YouTube, Netflix, whatever the case may be, where it's just on-off stuttering the entire time. It's a constant irritation. You are no longer going with just a normal movie. You are watching a slideshow, and it's very intermittent by the sounds of things as well. That is starting to affect him, and he's not able to get that great sight that he usually has at crystal clear 120 or from 90 FPS to 120. I know he runs between the two. Andres Sorodio, though, is keeping ahead of Blickenhout. Now, this is a battle for 9th and 10th. Sorodio in the Ferrari is still got a little bit of damage on the front end that will be taking him, but out of the car has got Blickenhout constantly chasing him down. His car, not a problem at this point. Will continue on. Jason Farmer and Donaldson now into the pits. They serve in their final pit stops. Tyler Humphries, though, will look to try and move his way up through the order. He is yet to do his pit stop, and he is amongst those that have already completed their pit stops, going to be feeling it. Sean Skitzer, Ryan Barrington-Smith still sticking out in this race, have not yet come in the pits for their first pit stop. Very, very late choice for both drivers, and with 29 minutes to go, I think the rough mark for it is most probably going to be sitting at that 25 minutes between the two. But a battle coming through. Mahiath Musa, Paul Venter. Man, oh man. The last time I cut to these two together on a race that is tight racing, I take you back to last season, Watkins Glen, where Paul Venter, heavens knows, tried not braking for a corner and piled into the likes of Mahiath Musa. This time, though, Mahiath Musa is on his tail, trying to look for a way to get by, and with Zandvoort being a very technical circuit and rather narrow, moving offline does make it a bit tricky. So let's see how it's going to work it as Mahiath Musa looks for the inside line, but not quite going on that tack just as yet. Man, oh man, you couldn't get closer if you tried, between the likes of this BMW and the Honda of Paul Venter. Paul is definitely feeling the pressure now as we jump on the rear deck of Paul Fenter's Honda NSX. As we see the flick forward on the rear wing, you can see Mahayath Musa constantly hounding, trying to work his way. And I've got to say, the BMW, with its lights angle, does look like it's extremely angry and rather focused. And I could see Mahayath Musa just got those blinders on right now and is like a racehorse chasing down the likes of Paul Fenter, seeing where he can get on by. Late on the brakes, down to second gear, leaps over the curbs, and is properly just keeping the fight in to try and force Paul Fenter into a mistake. Fifth gear, down to fourth, down to second, in through the right, left, right, and is at the top of the track. Paul Fenter, bit squirrely though, and the more that these two fight it out, Tiaan Elof, who's 5.5 seconds, starting to make up that bit of ground as well, as these two will continue on. And I do think Mahayath Musa has an opportunity. Down the back straight they go. Mahayath close enough for a slingshot attack here. He's going to look for the inside line. He's going to be late on the anchors. Puts his nose forward and over the curbs. Both still trying to go by and look for the undercut. Couldn't quite get it to work. A little bit of a scuff on the nose, but they do have that 64 being put on the roof in tribute of Ryan Ottens. That is Tiaan Puerta, as we do see Mahayath Musa around the outside, gets Paul Fenter finally in the battle, taking a deep, deep breath, and will go and continue on the race. But it is the likes of Tiaan Puerta who will now start to put on the pressure and look to try and get on by. Now, Tiaan Puerta did do his second pit stop, so he is a blue flag car, but is running some seriously quick lap times in through the running order. And Paul Fenter completely missing the corner there, going and losing out, as we do see the 777 of Tyler Humphries trying to rejoin the circuit after a bit of damage to his car. So he definitely spiked it into the wall and nearly turning in on the competition. So let's quickly take a look. Missed out the corner, got himself back on track, and we're going to quickly see what happened. Bit of dirt on the tires, so runs out wide onto the dirt. Oh, the snap, the impact, the ping pong, and man, oh man, that's how you break an Aston Martin. As he pulls into the pits trying to get himself sorted. Michael Donaldson onto the back of Conor Bergstrom as these two fight it out between one another. Conor Bergstrom of the Pandassi, Michael Donaldson of the Omnis Gaming, now trying to look around left and right at the moment. Not able to get the momentum just as yet. He does look for the inside line, backed out of it, then rethinks about it. That was a bit of a late decision to go for the pass, and makes it stick. Conor Bergstrom couldn't have an answer for it. He tried to drag race it, didn't work out in his favor as they make the way through. So some great racing on the way. Tyler Humphries now getting some work done on his car, will be getting sorted out so he can rejoin the fight. Darren Miller down in 14th position though, needing to do his final pit stop, and will be will try and get himself sorted out. But it is Richard van Heerden in for 12th position at the moment. Is the start of those that haven't done their final pit stops. But Sean Skitter and Ryan Barrington-Smith yet again missing pit lane. They are not going into the pits. They're really opting to run it a little bit late into the race versus the likes of the competition, possibly to try and double stack it. But with these tires starting to fray, how long can you keep going at this rate? I mean, it is 23 degrees track temperature. It's dropped 2 degrees since the start of the race, but those tires are 37 laps old in this, on a very abrasive circuit that tends to eat the front tires, and also you had a heavy fuel tank, so it's definitely scrubbed them down quite a bit. New fresh set of boots might not be a bad idea, or just going and getting those pit stops done and dusted so you can re-maintain, keeping in the high 28s into the 29s, and that is a proper drop off. Maybe just trying to lift and coast, save a bit of fuel, but for what reason? They do need to serve those mandatory pit stops, and Dean O'Keefe running in third place is only 4.7 seconds back from Ryan Barrington-Smith. A bit of a tough one out there. Jan Blicknotes and Andre Sorodio finding it out. The Project Vapor, Andre Sorodio dealing with Jan Blicknote from Omnius Gaming. as these two go nose to tail with one another. Blicknote in the slipstream, pulls out of it, looks for the inside, second guessed it, and not to try and go on the attack. He thought about it, but the road just got a little bit small, and that little move out of the slipstream has compromised his drive. He needs to try and stick in a little bit longer, and if you're going for that attack, you need to be certain of it. I should probably just try stay in for the fight, but Blicknote is a rather quick driver, and up against Andre Serodio, who has been around the block more than once. Serodio has been on those podium spots previously, whether it be in Pro and Pro-Am and in different series throughout the running order of his sim racing career across South Africa and those from across the waters. Serodio, though, trying to deal with Blicknote, who runs out a bit wide. Blicknote did stay out of the slipstream. Interesting. Trying to lean on the left-hand mirror to see if he can bait a move. I think he was a little bit too far back for that one. Serodio wasn't going to fall for it, knowing that wouldn't quite go for the dive. Jason Farmer dealing with Henry Platt at the moment, and Conor Bergstrom with Mordred Claessen's two former teammates in 20th and 21st of the Pandassi team, but Mordred Claessen, carrying the Pandassi team's name, has got Conor Bergstrom now in the OG team, the Omnis Gaming, who unfortunately put a wheel on the dirt, lost that drive, and now dropping down a position. He did do a bit of work on the car on the second pit stop, 37.4 on that last one. Kieran Patterson, though, interesting drive for him. Did put on a fresh set of boots onto his car, so he's got a fresh set of tires on. He was spent 33.9 seconds in the box, so that is fuel and tires done and dusted compared to his usual competition. Dean Nokia now into pit lane, and that does look like Sean Skitter into pit lane as well. Andre Serodio and Blicknote still keeping a nose to tail, as we did get alerts of a slight off track and contact between the two, as we do see Blicknote huge send, and not going to make it. Not going to make it. That it was over ambitious that went through, and now going to have likes of one of our Ferraris. That is the number 1 Ferrari coming on by of Michael Donaldson, and Blicknote, no, comes to a stop and refires the car. Was waiting for the field to come by, most probably. No, did he? No, he's second. Wow, what is going on? Some serious miscommunication on zone. Blicknote going all over the show, and we did have, was that a Nissan GTR that went off circuit? And that might have been the, who was that went off circuit though? That was a bit of a strange moment for the drivers. It looked like one of the Nissan, so that had to be Darius who outbraked himself. Tyler Humphreys in the pit. But what on earth happened to the likes? I don't know what happened. Then was some serious miscommunication. It was go in the pit, not go in the pit, go in the pit, not go in the pit, go for a pass, miss the pass. Blicknote looking very undecided on circuit, and gets himself back out onto the track, completing his pit stop. But down the order, he lost quite a bit of time there. Really leaving one Fox, and now we'll have to deal with the likes of Jason, Kerry Funzel, Tianis Buerta, trying to have a bit of pace over Jason Farmer, with Henry Platt trying to make up some time to him. Only driver to pull into the pits is Ryan Barrington-Smith. Still trying to figure out what on earth happened. Darius was also quite confused. Maybe he just outbraked himself. That put him into the dirt, but who knows at this point. Under 20 minutes to go. Ryan Barrington-Smith leads the race with Kieran Patterson in second, Christoph Peterson running in third, Mahath Musa in fourth, Paul Fenter in fifth place with Tiana Elof, Andre Serodio, Brandon Kruger seeing the fastest lap time of the race, 1:27.1, is running in 8th place with Dean Nokia in 9th, who has completed all of his pit stops, and that final stop was only fuel, so he's on a single set of tyres as promised. Rich Vernierde sitting in the top 10, but not for long, as Sean Skitter closing down that gap, 2.1 seconds behind him. Daniel de Villiers running in 12th, Darren Miller in 13th, along with 14th place, Johan Blicknote, Kerry Funzel, Tennis Buerta, Jason Farmer, Henry Platt, Michael Donaldson, Mordred Claessen's, Conor Bergstrom, Darius, Bukes running in 23rd. Tyler Humphries has not rejoined the circuit, and looks like they may have retired the car. Oh man, that wouldn't be my way of doing it, and I do think he should get that car back out just to get across the line. I mean, having that confidence that you got across the line under your own steam is what's needed, and especially on a week like this where we do celebrate the tenacity of Ryan Ottens and his never say die attitude. Well, I do think that car needs to return to the circuit. 777 that is currently waiting just outside the pit box. The driver is the only thing missing from the car. As we see Sean Skitter on to the chase of Rich Van Heerde ahead of him. They do have the likes of Kerry Bucas running in 23rd, sitting in between the two of them, and as they fight it out. But got to be so careful, Sean Skitter especially at this point, not to lose drive, as Daniel de Villiers, we saw in the shot just off the back, Daniel de Villiers slowly but surely starting to creep up, gain that little bit of time, and will be sticking in for the long haul here. Andre Sorodio dealing with Brandon Kruger. In between them is Michael Donaldson. Oh man, Donaldson going and having to really chuck the car out of the way for Brandon Kruger coming on by. Brandon Kruger didn't even give his teammate the option there. Now that was a bit of a right royal one. Blick Knight gets a position over the likes of Darren Miller, who's gone in for a stop. So Darren Miller, bit of a strange one for him. The number 91 was a quick in and out. He did do a splash and dash to ensure he stays in for the race, but a bit of miscommunication coming in for Donaldson and Kruger. Actually can see that Donaldson still reeling a little bit after that, but Andre Sorodio will be sliding his car around, knowing Brandon Kruger is catching up at a rate of knots, and now that Donaldson is out of the way, Kruger is free to go on the attack. Both Sorodio and Kruger need to still pit, along with Rich Van Heerde and the likes of Sean Skitter running 10th and 11th as they duke it out between one another. Who's going to be first to pull the trigger though? That is a question. 16 minutes of the race to go, and Ryan Barrington Smith may look at going in the pits. No, not going to go in the pits. How long can this Aston Martin go on a tank is what I'm asking. What is Ryan Ottens doing to continue on the drive 42 laps into this race? And I think at this point, he's not going to be able to put a fresh set of tires on without losing too much time. He's not going to be able to do some big moves on the car. He's going to have to really wait it out. That double stack is needing to be a big one, because 5.8 seconds back is Kieran Patterson. Christoph Peterson is 10 seconds back. Mahias Musa 4 seconds off the back of him. He's going to lose out that time as we see Sean Skitter over the back of Richard Van Heerde and trying to pressure his way by. Brandon Kruger on a very aggressive launch back through the field is lying in 8th position. He's got Andre Sorodio, the Project Vapor team. Michael Donaldson now stepping back from this fight, seeing what's going on. Sorodio not wanting to kill the tires off. You could see the Ferrari bearing some scars of the race of a lapse past. Now fighting to hold Brandon Kruger in that Mustang at bay. This is a Mustang that is the newest to the sim, as drive-through penalty, oh no, goes to the likes of Darren Miller, our second drive-through of the evening. And Darren Miller getting it. Brandon Kruger was our first recipient as he gives Andre Sorodio no opportunity there, who had to dive across the curbing. Kruger keeps his nose in. Sorodio returns the favor. Beautiful pass. Kruger, a little bit of a nudge on the rear, and these two are still going to battle it out. Sorodio side by side on the way through, not backing down. My heavens, Sorodio and the Ferrari as these two, contact, bumper cars. Careful, you two, as Sorodio tries to reclaim and get going. He's got Donaldson on the back of him. Donaldson looking to unlap himself here, taking a look on the inside. He's going and waiting out. Sorodio opting, he's getting in the pits. He's going to solve this. time to get the final pit stop out of the way and get himself back into the race. Let's go back roughly 30 seconds and take a look at what happened from the helicam. So first contact, second contact, and here comes Donaldson. Now, there was previous contact early on in the race, but Donaldson now taking a look in the slipstream, looks to the left, and did back out last minute as he saw the likes of Serodio diving into the pits on that. But a bit of a tank slapper as well, going onto the gas, trying to just make his way through. But very, very aggressive driving from the likes of Brandon Kruger. Serodio putting up a sterling effort to try and fight out. Both drivers really gave it the absolute all. And Rubbing racing, as some say, in DTM racing, was more common, not even going back to the old Group N days. If we even go back a little bit in local racing, for the likes of motorcycles, namely motards that Ryan Ottens used to do on short circuit, he was elbow to elbow with his competition, and they are not afraid to lean on one another. And that's exactly what we've seen the drivers do. We've even seen it in days gone past and years gone past where Ryan has leaned on the competition, much like we do see drivers currently doing so. Sean Skitter battling out to try and get ahead of Richard van Heerd. Will look for the inside. He backed out of it though, and unfortunately not working out. Tienes Buerta and Jason Farmer fights it out. Jason Farmer gets the pass on Tienes Buerta, who looks for the undercut. The Pandassi McLaren just not having the legs to get ahead of Jason Farmer of the Griffin Sim Racing in that Ferrari 296. Rich van Heerd now into pit lane, going and allowing Sean Skitter to get on by. He's got Gerrit Bucas trying to keep him for company at the moment. Gerrit, who is just tailing on behind. He's in 23rd position, pulling his way through. Does not want to get involved in too much of a fight at this point. Will wait it out and just get pulled along through the order. So not a bad idea to utilize the competition, but maybe a little bit of room might be in order. Tienes Buerta, Jason Farmer still 0.4 of a second on top of one another as they fight it out at the back of the field. Both have completed their pit stops, and both now racing to the end with 11 minutes and 18 seconds as Ryan Barrington-Smith, I think no one's told him yet to dive into the pits. He is still out there, hasn't pitted once in this race. He is going to double stack it like there is no tomorrow to ensure he stays in, as we do get yellow flags for Gerrit Bucas. What on earth happened to him? He was very, very close, and that is Sean Skitter that's ahead of him. Did the Mustang just get out of shape into the chicane? I possibly think so. Was keeping all close, late on the anchors, swings the nose in, over the curbs. Yeah, the 333. Ow, and having a meeting of the wall. That pony looking a bit second hand. And I do think that Mustang is starting to get a phone call. The Singers Racing are starting to talk to the Prit company about future glue products that's needing to come out, as we do see the Mustang looking a little less than stellar out on circuit. Kieran Patterson closed up the gap, 1.8 seconds to the back of Ryan Barrington-Smith, who will need to do his pit stop. When is he going to do it? He's going out, get another one. 10 minutes in. This is very risky on a lot of the drivers, because Ryan Barrington-Smith needs to pit twice. Kieran Patterson needs to do it once. Christoph Peterson needs to do it once. Matthias Wilson needs to go in the pits as well. Paul Fenter needs to go into the pits. Dean Nokia, running in likes of 8th, doesn't need to go into pit lane, so he's definitely all okay. Oh, Sean Skitter, unfortunately, getting turned around. He's still needing to get into pit lane. Tian Elof dives into the pits, and it looks like Darius also clipping the dirt a little bit while letting Daniel de Villiers get on by. Sean Skitter able to rejoin the circuit a bit further up the road, but not in ideal circumstance for him. So Tian Elof getting his final pit stop done and dusted. We'll keep an eye out on Dean Nokia as he waves on by, saying thank you very much. He's going to continue on the drive. He's got Mordred Claessens keeping him company, but no threat to the position. Back up to first place though. Now Kieran Patterson's done his first pit stop and is proceeding to put tons of pressure on Ryan Barrington-Smith. Ryan needs roughly a minute ahead of the pack to be able to maintain some form of top 10 positioning. At current, though, he is way down the order than planned, and he's got Kieran Patterson now diving into the pits 8.5 minutes into the last of the race. Cutting it rather fine. He's going to come out and literally on his outlap have to get back into the race as well. I mean, tough time out there. Starting to get a bit of information. Singers looks like a pit magnet, and that's definitely it to the Mustang. Needing a bit of work, but Connor Bergstrom going to be needing some work on a bit of breathing techniques, calming oneself, centering will be our third of the drive-throughs handed out, and we'll need to get that done and dusted within 3 laps. Otherwise, you'll carry it to the end, get the penalty added on at the end of the race, which is going to throw him down the order. And not ideal. Rather just get it done and dusted and get going. Ryan Barrington-Smith leaving pit lane. Will have Brandon Kruger getting on by. Brandon Kruger takes 4th place. Ryan Barrington-Smith will come out in 5th with the likes of Dean Norkier trailing right behind in close proximity. Paul Fenter in pit lane trying to get his final stop done and dusted. And he will be watching as Daniel De Villiers chases on by. The Nissan GTR goes and waves goodbye. Gets the pit stop done and dusted. Paul Fenton now rolling to get in front of Tian Elof. Has he got enough pace though? As Tian will be rounding turn 1 into turn 2. Tian's got the pass done and dusted. And Paul Fenton down into 9th position. Whoa, and Elof into the dirt as well. Cold tires, Paul. Cold tires. Not quite the way you want to do it. You were stopped for 9 seconds in the box. That's enough to lose a good bit of temperature. And it seems like having to warm up after that little bit of a slow. Sean Skitter needing to do his final pit stop, and they fight their way through. So, our top 5 needing to do their final pit stop. 6 minutes to go in this race. Kieran Patterson still sticking it out a little bit longer. He's going to be cutting it rather close at the moment to stand for the run, as Sean Skitter will get a drive-through penalty on top of needing to do a pit stop. He's going to have to serve it now and then get the pit stop done on the next lap. That's all that needs to be done for the likes of Sean Skitter. He cannot get his final pit stop done and dusted without serving that drive-through. And at current, he is on the back of Gerrit Bucas, who's just doing everything he can to limp that Mustang round. Sean Skitter will be frustrated on how it's all turned out for him. He's not going to go into the pits. He's going to continue going on. But that is tough racing on his part. Mahias Musa, 1.8 seconds off Christoph Peterson. They do have a Mustang splitting them at the moment as they continue on by. Mahias Musa will look to try and make short work of the back marker to try and gain some time on Christoph Peterson. Not diving into the pits though, as we do have the 118 falling off the circuit. A bit of late braking there coming in for Gerry van Zyl, as he allows Mahias Musa to get on by as well and rejoins the fight. So Gerry van Zyl, I think, wasn't a chosen way to let someone by. Jason Farmer in 15th, putting wheel off the dirt. No, man. Darren Miller trying to reverse the car, clip the curbing, I would say, for the 91. And unfortunately, that stuck him into the wall. And let's quickly take a look on board. This is off the roll bar cam. Bouncing over the curbs, onto the grass, and just snap. And it's just like absolute... he couldn't do a darn thing about it. It just unsettled the car on the first chicane and had to wait it out. Darren Miller having a night to forget at this point. Still continuing on the drive. Darius into pit lane, serving his drive-through penalty, and will become our 4th drive. This would be our 4th driver that's done. No, it would be our 4th. No, it would be our 5th. As Brandon Kruger's had 2 drive-throughs in his run. Brandon Kruger now behind Paul Fenter. So Brandon Kruger needing to try and make up some time as he's got Darren Miller going and keeping up ahead. Darren Miller is a lap down. Paul Kruger needs to catch up to Paul Fenter, and I think Miller's not going to argue too much in this. He doesn't want to lose up too much pace, so might do just a slight lift to allow Kruger to get on by. Yes, he does, and that is going to allow Kruger to get back into the fight with the likes of Paul Fenter. All gloves off to the end. Peterson and Musa into the pits. Ryan Barrington-Smith yet to do his final pit stop. So is Kieran Patterson. They are going to run this one down to the wire between the two of them. Sean Skitter, I think, as well, looking to just try and carry his momentum through. Sean Skitter needs to do that final pit stop. Otherwise, on top of the 30 seconds that will be added for the drive-through penalty, he will have 130 seconds given to him for not completing that pit stop. Furthermore, throwing him down the order. Drive-through penalty comes in for Gerry van Zyl in 13th position. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left of the race. They're going to have to get this thing done. Sean Skitter does pull into the pits. Is it for the drive-through or is it for the final pit stop? He might choose not to do the drive-through, but rather just get the car going as Kieran Patterson pulls into the pits behind him. Will we see Ryan Barrington-Smith do the same? He will have to. He will have to get into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty. Dean Nokia is far enough back not to secure that first place, but maybe enough to go on the attack of Ryan Barrington-Smith as Kieran Patterson completes his pit stop looking to get out of pit lane. Ryan Barrington-Smith, who now gets himself into the box. Dean Nokia will get that notification. Maeth Musa will get that notification as well and continue on their drive. Back down to L5, Paul Fenter in 8th with Brandon Kruger in 9th. Kruger, who's had a nightmare of a run, 2 drive-through penalties on this race alone, needing to try and figure out how to get past Paul Fenter, who is elbows out defense at the moment. This is for overall position. And with Kruger now looking for an inside pass down into the chicane. Paul not giving him an inch there. Whoa, a little bit of contact between the two. Just enough to upset the Honda. Just enough, you know, a bit of a grumble. Like you've gone and stolen a Pringle out of the can. No, that's a declaration of war. Never mind. You never take a Pringle out of a can of someone's hand. That's a declaration. Don't do it. As we do see Paul Fenter opting that he does not like the Tyre anymore. Stuck on the outside. Understeer creeps in, plus marbles. Oh, huge tank slapper on the way. And that is just going to foul up the tires as Darren Miller, who will be behind him, say, look, I'm not here to overtake you right now. I'm going to keep going. Sean Skitter does serve his drive-through and now into the pits. 40 seconds to go. And what the deficit he would have made up in that late pit stop taken away by the drive-through as well did not help him out in the order, so he is now waiting it out. Kieran Patterson leads out the pack. Dean Nokia in second place. Maeth Musa running in third, 5.1 seconds back. Christoph Peterson in fourth. Daniel De Villiers in fifth. Sixth is Tiernan Elof. Brandon Kruger fights it out with Paul Fenter, 7th and 8th. Ryan Barrington-Smith in 9th. 10th place is Andre Sorodio, but our closest battle out on track at current is the likes of 7th and 8th position between Paul Fenter, who's still on a marching drive to close up on Brandon Kruger at the moment, who's feeling the frustration. 0.5 of a second as it comes out of the final corner. He's in the tow. Miller giving a little bit of breathing room there, knowing not to put in too much of a fight. He's going to rather wait it out. Paul Fenter, 0.3 of a second, needs to try and throw his weight in for the fight here to be able to get the pass done and dusted. It is the final lap for Kieran Patterson as the timer has ticked over. Kieran has done a phenomenal job. Late pit stops in his stints and is now on track for another podium here at RaceFace.Pro and looking to maximize the points in the championship. So with 2 corners to go, just a nice gentle slow down. 1, 2, and on the power, he comes on by. Kieran Patterson takes the checkered flag for round 4 here at Zandvoort for PWSR. And as a send-off to Ryan Ottens. Dean Nokia will take second place on a sterling effort. Blicknote into the wall. Unfortunately, down in 11th. Mahiath Musa, though, comes across the line in third place. Christoph Peterson takes fourth. Daniel de Villiers, a stellar drive on his part to reclaim some positions lost, will take fifth. From the likes of second down the order, all the way into 20th, pulled it back up to fifth. 3 positions down from Restart. That Nissan GTR was a great effort. Tian Elof will take 6th. Brandon Kruger beats out Paul Fenter by 0.8 of a second. Ryan Barrington-Smith in 9th. Andre Sorodio taking 10th. Johan Blicknote, who comes on by, will look to take the likes of 11th position as the smoke goes up in the air for the drivers as they come across the line on such a week where we remember the legacy of Ryan Ottens. Jan Blicknote taking 11th. Richard van Heerde will take 12th along with Jason Farmer in 13th. Tiernas Botha will take 14th. Henry Platt along with Michael Donaldson, Kerry Funzel, Mildred Clausen, Sean Skitter, Darren Miller, Kieran Bucas, Darius, Conor Bergstrom, and Tyler Humphreys rounding out the pack here at Zandvoort for round 4 of the championship. What a drive, folks. What a stellar effort. And what a climb through it all. Everyone wanting to get across the line. Unfortunately, Tyler Humphreys retiring the car at the end of the race will count as 24th, but as a non-finisher for it as well. So definitely a gutting blow on his part, but will be looking to improve. So let's cut to a bit of our highlights of tonight's festivities. Kieran Patterson taking the overall victory. Will be happy on his run through it all. And we will be interviewing some of the drivers here in the commentary box for a bit of what happened out there. Bit of interesting times, and also going and talking about the race and a little bit of what happened to their race. Also touching on to the likes of Ryan Ottens and the memory of such. So as a couple of drivers coming through, we do have second place, Dean Nokia, who will be smiling on the effort. Dean Nokia single stinting the tyres to ensure that he secures his position. Let's bring in old Dino. Dean Nokia, welcome to the commentary box yet again. A very, very good run on your side, managing to secure that second position. How are you feeling?
I'll take it. I think after it was a good recovery drive. Unfortunately, messed up my qualifying again. Got nobody to blame but myself, and just got stuck in a bit of traffic in the first stint behind people. I think they were a little bit off on RaceFace, but it was good fun nonetheless. So yeah, I had to pit early, and it was good fun. It was good fun.
Incredible run. We heard you talk about single stinting tires. You did it again. Now that the tires went a little bit longer, very aggressive and abrasive circuit. How was the feeling after an hour and 20 minutes?
I could still do low 28s by the end, to be very honest. I think I could have still done 27s. Unfortunately, my initial plan didn't pan out to be honest with you. I was going to start on 90 liters. But due to the traffic in the beginning and a little bit holding me back, I had to do an undercut. So I pitted early for the splash and dash. And that took about 2.5 tenths per lap off of my tires due to the heat cycle. But it was worth it at the end of the day because I was looking probably a half a second a lap. So I had to do the gamble thinking half a second behind someone or go pit early and have a little bit washed tires. But other than that, no, I'm perfectly happy. Tires were all good all the way till the end. I can do it every day long.
Oh, some good racing nonetheless, and securing some good points in the championship. Anything you would like to say to the amazing partners here at RaceFace.Pro, but also to all the admin, to the stewards, the drivers, the teams, and most importantly, like always, is our amazing grandstands?
Oh yeah, obviously. Just again, thank you so much for organizing all this nice races and events and everything, and racing between everyone. To the sponsors as well. Not sure who they are this season. I haven't checked any posts regarding sponsorships, but I do see everybody with their liveries, so I'm assuming it's all of them. Thank you very much, always, guys, for assisting in the servers, prizes, all those things. So super, super, super duper thanks. And again, thank you for the number one commentator in the country, Mr. Koenig.
Not number one commentator, but I do appreciate the compliments. There's definitely some youngsters that are going to put this old man into retirement. Dean, congratulations on your stellar effort in the PWSR Ferrari and taking second place in the race. Dean O'Keefe, absolutely doing a sterling effort. Let's bring in third place, Mahayath Musa, to come and have a chat to us. Mahayath Musa, long-term rival of Ryan Ottens, and also the Project Vapor driver that has done an incredible job. Mahayath Musa, welcome to the commentary box. And can just hear a little bit of reverb. There we go. Perfect. Mahayath, great stuff. Fun little fact, though, if you rewatch the beginning of our intros every time, we can actually see you going off circuit. So you do make a little bit of an Easter egg on our intro videos. So thank you very much for any of those that do spot it. I've had a few messages going, that's Mahayath's car. But Mahayath, great racing on your part. Third place, a hard fight. How are you feeling after that? You were in nose-to-tail battles right through the race.
Yeah, quite sweaty. Had a lot of fun out there. And yeah, thanks for the little Easter egg in the intro video there, Stephen. Appreciate it. But yeah, it was definitely a tough race out there. I guess the no tire strat was the strat to go with. I basically went all aggressive today. But yeah, I'm happy with the result nonetheless, man.
I mean, the car was absolutely on rails this evening. After an hour and 20 minutes, though, how was it feeling? I mean, the track temperature did drop a little bit, but it looked like all the cars started getting a little bit of a slide to it. Your car looked like under braking. The rear was starting to get a bit squirrely underneath you.
Yeah, so I was struggling with quite a bit there, on that second stint. But yeah, I don't know what was happening to Mr. Chris with the K, because it seemed like he was also struggling, so I'm not too sure. My tire pressures were a bit off. Yeah, I just get my head down and hope for the best. I mean, if I look at those guys on that kept their tires throughout the whole race, they seem to find much more pace closer to the end than I could on newer tires. So it was a bit strange, but it was a lack of challenge.
Well, absolutely great stuff. Mahayath, you're no stranger to being on track with Ryan Ottens and having to go door to door with him over the course of quite a few years, different leagues, different endurance races, sprint races, championship duels. Any long memory, if you had to put in a photo frame of your time on and off the circuit with Ryan Ottens, what will it be for you?
Wow, yeah. Stephen, I would say it's the championship in Sarko, funny enough. Went nose to tail with him. Came out on top. And in the second time, so the second round, he came up on top. So I had a lot of good battles with him. It's a tragic loss for the sim community, definitely. Way too soon, especially. I mean, he wasn't venturing out into the iRacing scene, and he's a racing driver at heart, and a very tough cookie on track. I mean, yeah, he kept it hard, respectful also, most importantly, and yeah, definitely gonna miss him. I mean, that number 64, seeing it on the grid, always used to give you chills. You were like, now now you need to bring your A game. So yeah, a lot of good memories with Ryan against the years, both in RaceFace in all the leagues. I mean, even in Monday Night Racing, he would pop in there. SRS, Sarko, like I said, took it to the very last race in that championship. So yeah, yeah, it's like I said, it's a very tragic loss for the community, and we're all definitely gonna miss him.
Definitely. I remember seeing some good moments with you and Ryan, one of it being Bathurst endurance race where the Project Vapor team was fighting it out for the final positions on the podium, and you and him going down towards the forest elbow side by side on the way through. So great to see it. And honestly, I think he would be smiling on the performance done today. No chirps in the pits this time round, but more of a high five when you came out of the car. But Myth, before we let you go, anything you'd like to say to our amazing partners here at RaceFace.Pro, also to all the admin, stewards, teams, drivers, families, our track, and most importantly, our virtual grandstand that never ceases to amaze, coming and watching the racing week in and week out, 3 to 4 times a week at this point.
Well, you know who I'm going to start off with, right, Stephen? So, I mean, you firstly, big thank you to you, Stephen. I mean, you do a lot for the community at large, not only for just RaceFace. I mean, you also go through to ERA on the international side of things, bringing their flames on the mic. So yeah, just from me and also the Project Vapor team. I mean, we appreciate you, Stephen. Big thank you to you. Also to the RaceFace partners. Without you guys, obviously, this won't be possible. And yeah, the admin team. I mean, it's a very big nightmare to admin a league. I can tell you that for sure. So yeah, a big round of applause to you guys behind the scene, Hansi, Bertus, Baigo, everyone. Really big thank you to you guys. Really appreciate it. And yeah, the guys watching, obviously, this is why we do it. We do it for you guys. But instead of sitting behind the screen, how about you come and join us on the track? That's what we want.
Absolutely great stuff. Project Vapor putting on a great show, and actually doing the evening dash for those that want to have a bit of fun with Le Mans Ultimate. We do have it here at RaceFace, but if you want to go and have a bit of fun out on a Wednesday evening, Project Vapor has stepped in and given you guys their racing fix at current. Crystals does lead out for the LMDH cars. Oddly enough, in a Peugeot, which is a bit strange. I mean, a Peugeot leading a race. I think you need to recheck your points there, Maiev. But, guys, on the 5th of March, go and support the likes of Project Vapor out on SimGrid. We will put the championship for all to attend in the chat. So thank you very much to our admin team. Go and support. It's on the 5th of March. They're going to be having a bit of fun at Bahrain. WEC, pick whether you're a GT3, LMP2, or an LDMH car. Melissa, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your third place. Sterling effort nonetheless.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Incredible stuff for Melissa of Project Vapor and the entire team there and their competition. Let's bring in our next guest and one of our amazing drivers that when you talk about going to war in a championship, in a racing championship, there's many names that one would talk about, but I remember the first time I started commentating into the pros after George G. Max went and gave me an opportunity to be part of it here at the RaceFace, along with the likes of Bertus Hugo and also being in the box with Alan Patterson. Kieran Patterson taking tonight's win for the 64 of Ryan Otten's, and also long-term rival of Ryan Otten's throughout his sim racing career. Kieran, welcome to the commentary box. No stranger, once again, scoring an absolute win over the pack. How are you feeling?
Sweaty, hot, elated, and yeah, sad at the same time. It's never a nice thing to hear that we've lost someone from our community. So, a bit unfortunate, obviously, but yeah, we'll dedicate this one to Ryan.
Well, let's kick it off firstly with the race, because knowing Ryan, it would be the first thing he's talking about and chirping from the sidelines of everything. Your race, though, dominating run, but very, very late on your pit stop strategies. Any reason why for that? I mean, you cut it so close, under the 20-minute mark. Was it to stretch your legs? What was the plan there?
We were actually discussing it as we were going, and we were so shocked that it was only 20 minutes into the race, and we thought it feels like it's been forever already. So I think the big thing was just to find a rhythm and keep that rhythm. So as soon as we could, and we found that rhythm in the first stint, lapping really good in the 27s, and I thought, let's try and build the gap as much as I can, because the undercut is quite strong, but if I'm in the rhythm, I don't want to get out of the rhythm. So yeah, we ran it as long as we could, and luckily it paid off.
Well, it looked like off the start of the race, it was a 1-2 for PWSR. De Villiers landed up going a bit wide. Brandon Kruger tried keeping you a bit of company. How are you feeling off the start of the race, especially Zandvoort, that is a very, very difficult circuit to start off with on cold brakes and cold tires?
I was really glad to get in the lead. Daniel did say he was going to cut behind me to try and block Brandon off because we knew he's the stronger driver in the pack at the moment. And unfortunately, he got into a tangle with Tian, and there I lost my backup really. So from there on out, I just thought, look forward, don't look back, and go as fast as you can. And yeah, Zolder's not an easy track to overtake on, so you kind of just rely on that person making the mistakes. And luckily, I didn't make many of them, so thankfully for that.
I don't think you put a foot wrong. You really cut it close and carried that 64 to the line at the top of the pack, which is great. I mean, taking a look at the championship, round 1 you missed out. Round 2 you came in 10th. Round 3 19th. So it hasn't been an easy championship run for you. But securing first in round 4 means that you did score a good bunch of points to jump from 20th position upwards. So that is a sterling effort. What's the game plan going forward in the championship, though? How is the mindset going to work now that we're heading towards round 5 a little bit later on?
Personally, for me, I don't see myself in much contention for the championship. I mean, like you said, it's been a terrible start to it. So I think going forward, it's just going to be a case of helping the team get as high up as they can. I know Dean's now in the lead of the championship, so I'll be looking to support him. And I know Daniel's doing really well in the sprint series. So I think for me this time around, it's for me to play blocker or helper or whatever you want to call it, and just let someone else in the team go and grab gold because they deserve it.
Absolutely great stuff. I mean, you've held the crown multiple times, knowing how it feels. But I want to touch on to yourself and Ryan Ottens. I mean, you guys have had battles and a half. You've been at each other's throats. You've been shaking each other's hands. Out on circuit, you guys have really pushed each other to the limit, and also off track, not afraid to go and have a chat to one another. And sometimes it's two deck chairs being pulled up at it and having a conversation, one would say. But how, if you had to put a memory in a picture frame out there of your time on and off the track, what will it be for you?
It's so tough to put a memory to it. I mean, I remember when he came on the scene and he was there and thereabouts. And then after a season break, next thing you know, he's one of the quickest guys in the country all of a sudden. I don't know what he found. I don't know if he just drank a whole lot of Red Bull and grew wings. I have no idea. But I'll always remember Ryan as the number 64 in his Ferrari 296. That just, if you weren't ahead of him, you weren't going to catch him. He was gone. It was so tough to overtake him. He was a really competitive driver. He knew where to put the car. He knew what to do in every scenario. He was a really, really tough competitor to race against. And I will always remember those battles and obviously miss them as well going forward. But a huge amount of respect, like you said, whether we saw eye to eye or not. He was a fierce competitor, and we'll all miss him.
Absolutely. And has your name been one of the old pillars of one's past, seeing Ryan Ottens? It's fantastic to hear the words coming from you on just everything that's gone on. But Kieran, before I let you go, anything you'd like to say to our amazing partners here at RaceFace.Pro, to all the drivers, teams, and to the incredible virtual grandstand that, can you believe, I mean, as much as we've been flying across the world going racing everywhere, it seems like everyone else is enjoying it as well, whether it's rain, whether it's shine, whether it's cold. Everyone's standing on the virtual grandstands going in support. Anything you would like to say to our virtual grandstands?
Always a massive thank you to everyone for supporting us. Us as drivers, we do what we can to give you all the entertainment as well as your great commentary, Steve. So thank you to everyone. I want to show a lot of support to Darren as well, our teammate. He's got a lot on his plate at the moment, so we're giving him a lot of support. And then also to the to Ryan Ottens' family. And all friends and teammates, everyone that knew him very closely. Massive condolences to everyone, and we hope you all get through this tough time. But thanks, Steve.
Absolutely. Kieran Patterson taking the overall win for round 4 of our Pro Division. The PWSR driver, once again, putting in a sterling effort to get the top spot. Taking the 64 across the line with the checkered flag. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has been such a phenomenal run here at RaceFace.Pro, and we're really looking forward to round 5 next week. Some close side-by-side action. As we're getting a little bit further into the championship, this is where you start eyeing out those major points, and we've heard straight out that there is going to be some working in the teams to ensure that they keep going. This Sunday, we were meant to have the Ryan Ottens Memorial Race that has been postponed out of respect to the family. Ryan Ottens will be laid to rest on Tuesday. So we have postponed the race out of respect to the family. So keep an eye out on our socials and out on our Discord for the rescheduling of that race. We do invite everyone of past, present, and those drivers wanting to be in races in future to come and join us on such a occasion where we give a proper send-off to the legend of motorsport, not only taking on the likes of real-life motorsport on 2 wheels, but even jumping into the world of sim racing. And as you heard some of the stories, that he was such a big part in the background, both infamous and famous at the same time, for good and curious reasons, one would say. An ambassador to the sport, and will be missed by the entire sim racing and motorsport fraternity. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us here at RaceFace.Pro, and we are in for some incredible racing. Next week, though, we will be heading back in for some GT3 racing with our iRacing Championship. That will be running on a Tuesday. Go and tune in and see our iRacing drivers fight it out as they look to really claw their way up through the order. And round 5 of the championship running on Wednesday for the GT3 Sprint Series. And round 5 for our GT3 Championship running on Thursday. Make sure you hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification icon. Let us know what your favorite move of tonight was and your favorite memory going back of Ryan Ottens, whether it's on the circuit, off circuit, even a funny story. And go and do so. I mean, one of the biggest moments I remember having is Ryan Ottens was the very first person, and at current, the very own person, that was told, you can't be in the commentary box until you calm down. And he did. And in turn became one of the best public speakers that we've had in the commentary. So remember that story, and lapping me 12 times in a 6-lap race. Didn't get to beat him at the end. Oh well. I know that one day I'll get fast enough that I'll get this little bit of a shine through the window, or just get called short again. One of the two. It's absolutely fantastic. So to the entire Ottens family, friends, teammates, and to all that new Ryan Ottens, our hearts go out to you all. Thank you so, so much for being here this evening and supporting. A big thank you to our sim racing community on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, going and putting their cars in black and having special liveries done in the memory of Ryan Ottens. We really, really, really do appreciate going and showing the support for such an incredible driver, and it does show how much he was to the team. So from my side, massive thank you to the entire sim racing community on that. We do appreciate it as well here at RaceFace.Pro, but do expect to see normal liveries coming back from next week. Special liveries will be made for the Ryan Artons Memorial Race coming up in due course. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hit that subscribe button, leave us a like, and also let us know down in the comments what your thoughts were. Favorite memory of Ryan Artons yet again. And like always from THT Productions, I'd say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and to everyone, mainly you, Ryan, well done on winning your championship with the Gen 3s. And good night, you alien.